8th grade history, chapter 1, section 3. Spain in the New World. Spanish explorers and conquerors. After 1492, Spain took the lead in exploration and colonization in the New World. Most Spanish adventurers came seeking fame and fortune. Many also claimed a desire to convert the Indians to Catholicism. The explorers came first, and the conquistadors, or the conquerors, followed, leading armies of Spanish soldiers to subdue the native inhabitants. Many Africans accompanied the Spanish as they explored the New World, some as slaves or hired servants, and some as freemen. One of the best-known Africans to join the Spanish exploration was Estevanico, who accompanied expeditions through Florida, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and Mexico. Early Spanish explorers. In 1513, Ponce de Leon, conqueror and governor of Puerto Rico, made the first Spanish landing on the mainland of North America. Because it was the Easter season, and perhaps because the terrain was in bloom with spring flowers, he called the land he found Florida, after Pascua Florida, the Feast of Flowers at Easter time. In the same year, Vasco de Balboa crossed the Isthmus of Panama and discovered the Pacific Ocean. Europeans now realized that a vast ocean lay between the New World and the Far East. Magellan's World Tour. In 1519, an expedition led by Ferdinand Magellan, a Portuguese sailor working for Spain, began a 3-year voyage around the world. Magellan was killed in the Philippines, but his crew continued on. Of the 5 ships that began the expedition, only 1 ship with 18 men made it home safely. Magellan's expedition demonstrated the vast distance between the New World and the Orient. Cortez and the Aztecs. Between 1519 and 1521, Hernando Cortez conquered the Aztec Indians of Mexico. The Aztecs, led at that time by the powerful chieftain Montezuma, had developed a remarkably advanced civilization that included a calendar, pictographic writing, and impressive architecture. They practiced a pagan religion, however, which included human sacrifices. Cortez was helped in his conquest of the Aztecs by other tribes of Indians who wished to be freed from their oppressive neighbors. Pizarro and the Incas. By 1533, Francisco Pizarro had conquered the Inca Indians of Peru. Advanced in engineering and architecture, the Incas developed an excellent system of roads and built impressive structures with stones cut so precisely that they fit together without cement. Cortez, Pizarro, and other conquistadors confiscated the Indians' gold and silver and then enslaved them, forcing them to work the gold and silver mines. Coronado and the Cities of Gold. Between 1528 and 1536, Cabeza de Vaca discovered and explored southern Texas and parts of New Mexico and Arizona. His account of the expedition inspired stories about the wealthy 7 cities of Cibola. In 1540, Francisco Coronado marched northward from Mexico, searching in vain for the treasures of those legendary cities. His army of 300 Spanish soldiers and large group of captive Indians explored parts of Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. One party of his men discovered the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Coronado's journey into New Mexico led him to the intriguing Pueblo Indians. Pueblo is a Spanish word for town. The Pueblo villages consisted of 3- and 4-story buildings resembling modern apartments. De Soto discovers the Mississippi. Between 1539 and 1542, Hernando de Soto explored Florida and Georgia and parts of South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee. His expedition then journeyed westward through Alabama and Mississippi. In May 1541, De Soto discovered the Mississippi River. Crossing the river, he traveled through Arkansas and into Louisiana, eventually making his way back to the Mississippi, where he died of a fever. Cabrillo and California. In 1542, Juan Cabrillo, a Portuguese employed by the Spanish, explored the coast of California and possibly Oregon. Like Coronado, Cabrillo hoped to find the fabled cities of Cibola as well as a water route from the North Pacific to the North Atlantic, a passage referred to as the Strait of Anian by the Spanish. In both cases, he was disappointed. However, he did discover San Diego Bay and helped open California to Spanish settlement. The Spanish legacy to America. Spain played an important role in the exploration of the New World and eventually established many settlements throughout Florida, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. In 1565, Pedro Menendez founded St. Augustine, Florida, the first permanent European settlement in the present-day United States. While St. Augustine began as a presidio, or small fort, other Spanish settlements began as Catholic missions to the Indians or as encomiendas, large estates granted to Spanish colonists by the King of Spain. These estates, also called haciendas, functioned as ranches or plantations. Santa Fe, New Mexico, founded in 1610, served as the capital of the Spanish colonies in the American Southwest. The oldest road in the United States, El Camino Real, or the King's Highway, first traveled in 1581, runs between Santa Fe and Chihuahua, Mexico. The Spaniards later also founded San Diego, the first European settlement in California. Other Spanish settlements in California included Monterrey, San Francisco, Santa Barbara, San Jose, and Los Angeles. The Spaniards left a lasting legacy in America. They introduced the Catholic religion, which is still dominant in Latin America, the part of Americas where the Latin languages of Spanish and Portuguese are dominant. They established many Catholic missions and forts and introduced horses, mules, cattle, sheep, cereals, oranges, lemons, and olives to the New World. The influence of Spanish architecture can also be seen in many American cities. The Spanish left a language and culture that are still evident in Latin America and the southern and western parts of the United States. Defeat of the Spanish Armada. Within half a century of Columbus's discovery of America, Spain had built a vast empire in the New World. Under Charles V and his son Philip II, Spain became the most powerful nation in the world. However, events were taking place that would lead to the downfall of Spain. Rivalry at sea. Spain's chief rival was the island nation of England. Under the leadership of Queen Elizabeth I, England became in various ways a threat to the financial well-being of the Spanish Empire. Especially frustrating to Philip II were the English sea dogs, daring sea captains who threatened Spanish power. Some, like Sir John Hawkins, interfered with the Spanish trade by smuggling British goods into Spanish colonies in America. Others, like Sir Francis Drake, attacked Spanish ships bound for Spain from the New World and took their cargoes of gold and silver. Religious rivalry. The economic rivalry between England and Spain was aggravated by the religious rivalry between them. The Protestant Reformation, begun in Germany by Martin Luther, had spread to England. Queen Elizabeth was a Protestant. Philip II was a Roman Catholic. When the Catholic Church undertook its Counter-Reformation to bring souls back into the Catholic fold, Philip II decided that wealth and power of Spain to Philip II dedicated the wealth and power of Spain to the defeat of Protestantism. Having failed to regain England for the Catholic Church through intrigue and manipulation, Philip II had but one recourse: war. The defeat of the Armada. When Queen Elizabeth openly approved English attacks on Spanish ships, Philip decided this was the excuse he needed. He would crush Protestant England, thereby aiding himself as well as the Catholic Church. In 1588, Philip sent a great fleet of ships, the Invincible Armada, to attack and destroy England. When the English navy met the Spanish fleet in the English Channel, the bulky Spanish galleons proved to be no match for the light English ships, which were armed with long-range guns. The Spanish ships that managed to escape the English navy were caught in fierce storm, and many of them were dashed to pieces on the coast of Scotland and Ireland. The English credited their victory to God, and Philip II agreed, saying, "I sent my ships to fight against men and not against winds and waves of God." The defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588 was an important event for the history of America. Spain never fully recovered from her loss, and England eventually became mistress of the seas. Although Catholic Spain would continue to hold land in America for several centuries, she would not dominate the New World. Protestant England would be free to lay the groundwork for political and religious freedom in North America.